We were going through the SHOT Show book to see who we were going to visit and what type of lectures they were offering. There was one we were very interested in going to, and that was the Black Guns Matter. I'm not only a big gun fan and make these videos, but I've also been in the business of education for a couple decades now. Most of that has been in the urban core, in both Kansas City and Harlem in New York City. So I'm very interested not just in guns, but how we are educating the urban core to change the gun culture in the urban core. So I was very pleased to be able to stop by, see Maz Toure, Second Amendment activist for Black Guns Matter.
This picture right here, this is actually Chris. Chris's brother was murdered. And Chris's brother was murdered, that's his mom. So because of that, Chris started on a campaign. He was very anti-gun with the push of his mom. Very anti-gun. They came to our class in Philadelphia. They had a BBC crew with them to put together a documentary, things like that, right? Because Chris's only experience with firearms was traumatic, and his mother's loss of her child was traumatic, they shut out anything firearms related. Information, conversation, any of that. They came to our class in Philadelphia where we had a focus on children. We had youth, our class was geared, that particular class was geared toward young people. Face painters, all those different things. In this class, Chris actually interacted with firearms in a safe, controlled manner for the first time. He shifted his perspective about firearms after dealing with that class from a culturally relevant perspective. There is nothing that a parent is, you losing a child, that's it. That's it. In a highly emotional space, there's absolutely nothing that you can tell that parent about how guns are good unless you can understand, make that parent understand that this firearm is based in a person and a choice, and there's a proper way to do it and an improper way to do it. In Chris's scenario, more specifically, the only experience that he had in relation to firearms was a trauma. That's it. That's the only relation he had to firearm. And because it was a trauma, everyone pretended, and his mom's around, it's my baby bear. I'm protective. Mom doesn't have the information. Chris doesn't have the information. So because of that, that trauma is their only information base. By exposing him to that at his own pace, the class was in a range, letting him communicate, seeing proper firearm training and ownership, and handling, as well as dealing with conflict resolution. Letting him talk about what the trauma is. I'll give you another example. Guy, 24, works at TD Bank. Never caught a case in his life, ever. Lives in Philly. This is a true story. Never caught a case in his life. Gets a firearm, purchases it legally. He's carrying it. Doesn't know that you got to spend $20 in the city of Philadelphia, fill out a little bit of paperwork, wait for your license to carry come back. He's facing 5 years now. Life is up against the wall. 5 years. Felon. Rights gone. Possibly life gone. That TD Bank job is definitely gone. Right? Not because he's the bad guy, not because of frustration, not because he did something criminal in that sense, but because he was missing information. Why was he missing information? Because from his own mouth, I didn't know where to go because I was under the assumption that everybody in the gun community was just in the clan. Now in this room, we understand it because we're like, do you have ammo for me next, if you're in the booth next to me? We understand that, but we're in our silo. We are in our silo. I don't think there's a black gun culture or a white gun culture. I think there's an informed gun culture and an ignorant culture. Now, on the fringes of this, you'll believe that because of what media may say, this is how firearms are handled here, this is how firearms are handled here. Yeah, but that basis is based on misinformation. So there really is only those two cultures as far as the gun culture goes. Informed, uninformed. Our job is to translate that and get people from the uninformed side to the informed side. The biggest thing that I want y'all to leave here today with is understanding cultural relevance. We are losing the cultural relevance war because we're either pretending like that the cultural differences don't exist, or we're shying away from the conversation. By not shying away from the conversation with Chris, you had something traumatic happen. You and your mom are affected by that tremendously. We're going to make it so you're not put in that situation, or anybody that you know will be a victim in that sense to the best of your ability. Just having an honest conversation, dealing with that conflict resolution, dealing with the real issue, that trauma. One of the things is I direct them straight to paperwork. There's a statute in this place, especially Cali, there's a statute for everything. There's a statute for everything. I direct them to the statute. So you almost inadvertently start walking around with an FAQ sheet in your phone, right? Well, that's not true. Well, I heard Pennsylvania is open carry. It is, but in Philadelphia, they're doing something very anti-state constitutional. They made a statute for Philadelphia, because it's a city of the first class, over 1 million inhabitants, that supersedes state constitution. The reason why this is important is, one, to get that person the statute gives them that understanding that, hey, I take it 2 steps. This is the statute for your town, and this is the statute in overall if it's conflicting, right? If you had that contradiction of city and state rules, right? That's one thing. And the other thing is, by giving them that statute and then tying it back into the Second Amendment and saying, this says shall not be infringed. Well, that sounds like an infringement. Aha, now it's a double bubble, because then you get that person politically active. None of this will work. None of this will work. My job is to give you all the information to increase revenue as well as make a cultural shift. None of this will work if it is not tied into political and social power. You're wasting your time. You have to tie it back into that statute, spark that light, and then go, yeah, that person that you voted for was okay. I'm gonna be very clear. I'm a funny dude, I joke a lot. We are at war. I'm gonna be very clear with you about this. For like something that's really, really important, like defending your life. This is Taylor Frome. I forget, I always mess Taylor's last name up. She's the principal of the high school that we got firearm safety training into in Philadelphia. Yes, I said that right. For an entire week in 2017, we taught firearm safety in a Philadelphia public school. I think we're living in communities where there's a lot of gun access. She's not lying. My students had their guns on them in the class without a lot of information. A lot of students need to learn safety through Black Guns Matter, and there will be less gun-related accidents. At the end of the class, we had a presentation at City Hall in Philadelphia. News, cameras, anti-gun city, right? Those same politicians that were opposing the gun range that we work out of showed up, took the photo ops, commended the situation because our focus was education and safety. You do not have to lead with the firearm. We play in the game too short-sighted. To get the bigger sales, the bigger freedoms, all those different things, we cannot be nearsighted. We have to step back. You have to inform those students that this is about safety and responsibility, because all of those students had trauma in relation to firearms.
I think the fact that he is tackling head-on the gun cultural differences between people that understand the gun culture and people that do not understand the gun culture. Understanding is critical. You would find that most people that are against guns do not understand guns, and they do not understand the culture. And what we have in America when it comes to the Second Amendment is we have 2 completely separated groups, those that are against guns and those that are for guns. And the thing is, those of us that are for guns and those that are against guns are in it for the exact same reason, so we can protect our families. And when they don't understand the laws, they find themselves in the middle of a system that they also don't understand. So what he has done is he has created this educational process for the urban core to let people know what state statutes and what city statutes are, so they can then be legal gun carriers and feel very comfortable in the gun community like you and I probably do. So I hope this video helps. Definitely take a look at Black Guns Matter. I think it's a very worthy cause.